Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this very interesting big guy right here. This is the Reate Knives K3. First off though, before I go any further, I want to give some full disclosure here. This knife was actually sent to me by Reate Knives themselves. David from Reate reached out to me, said, hey Nick, we like your work, we want to send you something to check out. Sure, I told them I'm going to talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. It might be a gem, it might be junk. They still sent it along, but nevertheless, that's what's going on here. We have to assume it's the best quality controlled one of these ever. It might actually not be thread locked, specifically on account of it being me. We don't know that. And, I'm doing my best not to let that affect the nature of my review, but nevertheless, that's what's going on. That's where this guy came from. Next thing, let's do a little bit of a size comparison. Here we are against a Spyderco PM2. Here we are against an Ontario Rat number 2. And we'll go ahead and put this up next to your Spyderco Delica. So what you can see here is that it's a big one. This is a relatively large knife. I mean, it's not gigantic, it's not comically large, but it's definitely a little bit more up there. And I can actually go ahead and I'll measure the blade length for you here. We are coming in just a hair under 4 inches worth of blade length. That's pretty nuts. Serious business here in terms of your size. So there you go. I'm trying to think if there's anything else worth saying here. No, not really. So let's go on ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly. This very interesting little knife right here. So to start with, on the good side, this is actually missing some of Reate's main sins, if you will. The biggest one of which is thread locker. This is a company that tends to like to thread lock knives shut. This is really unfortunate because their screws can also be a little on the softer side, and so you end up with knives that are, very high end but can feel very disposable. This one had no thread locker. That said, it was sent directly to me from Reate, specifically after I've complained about that a lot, so I'm really a little hesitant. K3 owners, if you've got one, tell me whether yours was thread locked shut down in the comments, because that's going to be an important little detail there. The other thing that I'll note is that the grind on this guy is fine. It's not absolutely, oh my god, amazing, but the grind on this guy is fine. The Reate seems to be doing better at thinner grinds, and so those are both good things to see. Next thing, this guy has a lot of really nice higher end, good making features in terms of knife making. It has things like, for instance, a great deal of internal milling that you could see in the original, or I'm sorry, in the disassembly video. There is that in there, and that's a beautiful thing. Although some of the milling is actually external, the internal milling's more on this side, but still, it's got a lock bar insert right in here. As you can see here, with an over-travel stop that is kind of integral to that, so that's a good thing. And definitely makes the knife, maybe, I don't know, do you really need an over-travel stop? No, but it's a nice thing to have. But anyway, so it's got those kinds of nice features going on there. And just generally speaking, the knife is very well made. You've got those kinds of things that are required. You've got good centering on this. We'll talk about the action later on, but this is just overall quite well done. And actually, there were lots of nice little details on this. This has a wealth of little kind of things that are just Reate showing off in a lot of ways. So, for instance, take the blade here. If we look at this little fuller area here, you can see that not only does it have a fuller with holes drilled through it, but actually this blade has 3 different finishes. You've got this vertical finish here, you've got this horizontal finish on the flat here, and then on the inside of that hole there, you've got some sort of a bead blasting going on there, coupled with the jimping on the top. They're just showing off there. It's nice, actually. I think it works out pretty well. It's also got a very nice backspacer here, complete with 2 little holes in there for some reason or another, as well as a nice lanyard hole here, and then this is all just nicely matched together. You have a clip here that is very much a high-end knife clip, so to speak. It's a milled clip with a design that roughly matches the rest of the knife, which is good. It's got the ball detent, or not detent in there. It's got the ball, it's a ball clip, Todd Begg style, officially, licensed and whatnot. So that's good. And even the pivot screw on this guy is a little bit fancy. I mean, they're really flexing here. They're trying to show off. I feel like this would be something that Reate would hand out at shows just to show people, hey, look, we can make a really nice knife. And a lot of these things are designed to show exactly that. Coupled with the inlays, these other miscellaneous cuts out here. They're definitely showing off. Next thing, this guy is it's got a pretty nice blade to it. It's got a blade that is, the stock is a little thicker than I'd maybe like to see it. That's not the full story, but, like I said, it's a little thicker behind the edge than some, but at the same time, it works pretty well. It's CTS 204P, which is chemically equivalent to your M390s, your 20 CVs, and is a great blade steel. There's definitely something, there's joy in that. And frankly, it's a good style of blade. You've got some relatively flat area, you've got some some belly here. You've got a tip up here. You got a little bit of a harpoon thing going on, and I really do like those mixed, the different finishes there. That's definitely nice. And so to me, all of that here is the good. And I guess you've also got this carbon fiber inlay going on there, which, is nice. And it is substantially a good inlay. It matches well in the outside there. So just overall, I think it's a very nice knife. And so that to me is the good, is that it's got a lot of nice little details in there, like the carbon fiber, etc. It's got a nice blade. It's got some internal milling in there, a lock bar insert over travel stop. And it's not thread locked shut. And the grind is actually pretty good by Reate standards. So to me, at least, that's what's good here. On the great side, the action is clearly what's great here. This has a stellar detent. Here, I'll go ahead and I'll put my hand down here. Yeah, no hand motion whatsoever, and it fires reliably 100% of the time. This is a high-end flipping action, and more importantly, once it's flipped out, well, maybe not importantly, but more snobbishly, it falls shut very easily. This is a knife, and particularly once I gave it a little bit of a clean out, oh, it's a knife that runs well. The action on this is good. This is a good action. Oh my God, is the action good here? So, to me at least, that's great. I'm really digging the action on this guy. And so it's got this really stellar detent and a beautiful drop shut sort of blade on this guy with a nice flip. All of this, just it works great. And so, to me at least, that's what's great here. Is this just amazing action? Oh, and by the way, the lockup on it is absolutely good to go. Yeah. So the action on this is what's great, 100%. On the bad side, to start with, this is $400. Now, look, that's a fair amount of money. That's actually a lot of money. That's putting it up against the top of the line in the production world. I mean, the quality is there. If we think about machining, if we think about action, we think about all those things, this is good to go. I mean, so it's not like I'm sitting here going, oh my God, they're ripping my face off. No, not at all. But it is definitely an expensive knife, and that's something to keep in mind. It is also missing an inlay on the backside. I don't think it's actually missing. I've never seen any pictures with it in there, but it really does feel at some level like you've got here and here. Why not here? It just feels a little off, right? I feel like this really wanted another inlay in the back and potentially on the clip here as well, although I get that's harder. I don't know. Not a big fan of that. That's the missing inlay thing seems a little weird. The clip on this guy is also not amazing. It's got the Todd Begg clip here, but it is overly stiff. Unfortunately, this is kind of a machinist clip. It works great at some level, I guess, but there are so many other clips out there that are just better, and it's right over and near your external lock bar relief, so it's going to catch a little bit as it's sliding into your pocket. And if you are wearing thicker material for your pocket, this is just not going to work so well. So this is a clip that is very attractive. Looks great, but isn't quite necessarily so functionally amazing. Next thing, this guy is a pocket pecking flipper. It has a flipper tab there that's just going to be pecking on whatever's in your pocket all damn day long. A lot of people feel like that's not an issue, but it's not something I particularly like to see, so I'm going to go ahead and point it out anyways. Not a huge fan of that flipper tab. Next thing, this guy did not come super sharp. Look, it came sharp enough. It's fine. It's okay. But at the same time, I've definitely gotten sharper knives from other companies, so that's something they should probably do a little working on. Not a huge deal. Most people will sharpen or strop it up themselves, but whatever. Next thing, on the grip side, unfortunately, this guy has no shortage of little hot spots here. Ranging from these little angles here, this is a knife that has all kinds of little angles and corners on it. That's a part of the design, certainly, but it's not a part of the design I particularly like. I mean, ergonomically, it's actually, I would say it's better than it looks, but that doesn't mean that much. Just because you've got all of these various little areas here that, again, look great. This is kind of designed for the eye in some ways, I think a little bit more than the hand. And so I'm not a big fan of all of those hot spots. And then finally on the bad side, this is entirely subjective. You're more than welcome to call me a jerk and biased and whatnot in the comment down below. But this is a knife that feels kind of vanilla. At some level, this feels like it's another flipper frame lock. That much is for sure. That's not a feeling. We've got plenty of those already. But I really feel like, okay, if I were to cover this up and you weren't able to handle it, if you just looked at this guy in, say, an online dropshipper listing, what company would make this? It's kind of tough to tell. I feel like there are 50 different Chinese companies that could create a knife that looks a lot like this. This could be a Reich, it could be a Che, it could be a Kubei, it could be a Niefen, Fleek, or whatever the heck the next one is. I mean, I really don't know that this is a design. Reate doesn't have a super cohesive design language in their own brand stuff, and that's something that's, I don't know. It's a little frustrating just because this feels like a knife that is very generic. I could find this from any retailer in a lot of ways. Well, I'm sorry. Well, any retailer who sells Reate. I could find this from a number of outlets in this kind of a design. And that's maybe a little bit, I don't know, I like to know a little bit more about the designer. I like there to be a more cohesive language rather than this, which just kind of feels like they were going down the knife, checklist. Like, okay, milled clip, check. Lock bar insert, check. M390, check. Well, ish. Regardless, look, there's just nothing particularly unique or sort of inspired in the design. You're welcome to love it. If you do love it, you're going to love this knife. No question there. But for me, this design just isn't blowing me away. There's nothing here that's just like, oh my God. Now, again, like I said, this is very subjective. That last point is entirely me being a jackass, but at another level, it just feels like there were so many things out there that, yeah, I figured I would comment. So, to me, at least, that's the bad, is that it is sort of vanilla, and it feels like it, could be a knife made by pretty much anybody right now in the Far East, although the quality would be much lower. I'm not saying the quality is bad. I'm just saying in terms of design, yeah, cover that up and it gets real ambiguous. It's got lots of hot spots. It didn't come super sharp. The clip isn't amazing. It's missing, or at least it feels like it's missing, an inlay on the backside here. And $400 is a bunch of freaking money. But the quality is there. The ugly front, there's nothing really ugly here, so let's just go to the conclusion. At some level, like I said, I was joking earlier that this knife feels like something that Reate, David Deng would walk up to a table at Blade Show and hand them one of these if they're interested in working with Reate, and it'd just be like, whoa. Okay, yeah, you guys have some skill, and they do. Absolutely, this knife feels like it is designed to show off Reate's work. This is the best business card ever made. I don't have any evidence to believe that's actually that, but it really feels like this K-series has been designed to show the world that they're excellent knife manufacturers. And it does show that, because it has a solid grind. It is definitely a better grind than a lot of folks are putting out. Has a good steel, mind you, anyways. It has a very, very good steel. It has nice inlays here, and especially they've got some versions with like Moku Thai and Damascus inlays that are even more attractive. It's got huge amounts of internal milling and external milling for that matter. And it does have an amazing action. 100%. So every damn part of this knife sits there and shows you that, yeah, Reate can make a knife well. This isn't news to, well, roughly anybody, but still, it's definitely there. However, it's not without problems. I think the clip on it isn't awesome. The sharpness wasn't amazing. The flipper tab is annoying to me personally. And ergonomically, it's not doing so well. But most of all, to me, honestly, I'm not digging this design. I mean, this is, like I said, bias. It's subjective. It's based on my own designers. But the thing is, Reate makes a lot of great knives for great designers. You get all kinds of people like Brian the No Shop by Design. His stuff's being made by Reate. A lot of what Pena's doing these days, the Pena Diesel, a lot of what Pena's doing these days coming out of Reate. Reate has been doing great stuff for a lot of folks, and they do great work translating really unique artistic visions into really well implemented pocket knives. This, however, feels like them turning, they're making a very great knife here, but it feels like there's a machinist at the helm, less so than it's missing the art factor. It works great, it looks fine, but it doesn't have the sort of cohesive design sense some of the other pieces out there. Now, this is completely jackassy, but I've been saying for a little while now that at this point in time, in 2019, perfection isn't good enough. I mean, for a long time, building a knife with an amazing action, good materials, great machining has been a way to stand out, right? A company, if they do all of this, if a company in 2017, if a company dropped a knife with an action like this one, at $400, it would have been like, oh my God. Well, and actually they did, and we were like, oh my God, because it was really impressive. But now there were a bunch of companies doing that. Not just Reate, but folks like we and a bunch of other folks out there were dropping these amazing actions on pocket knives. And so things like little details, like is the clip amazing? Are the other details there? Does it have a cohesive artistic vision? All of those things become more important. And if you're in the higher end, which this guy absolutely is, $400, at this point, the world is now your oyster in terms of manufacturing perfection. The question is no longer whether you can buy an amazing knife for $400. It's which amazing knife you want to buy for $400 and what you want to favor above all else. Do you like a particular design? Do you like a particular material? You can do amazing stuff at $400. And so my final feeling here on this knife is in a lot of ways kind of a little wishy-washy, but I feel like it boils down to the design. If you are a person who is looking at this knife and you're going, oh yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That looks really good. Then, you know what? By God, you should buy this knife. If you can afford the price of it and get a discount or something like that, then go for it. Oh, my God. If you're loving the way this is looking, if you're picking up what Reate's putting down here, then just do it. It is a beautifully made knife with an amazing action, and it will bring you some joy. Absolutely 100%, especially you sharpen this down a little bit, cute that egg. Oh, this is going to be great. So that's a beautiful thing. However, for me, personally, looking at a bunch of knives and knowing a bunch of knives by designers whose work I really love, this feels to me like a knife that is very, very good and damn near perfectly made. There is no debating that, but I just don't know that it has the design to stand up against the more creative production knives available in the $200 realm. There's so much good stuff out there that this one doesn't quite stand out. But that said, it's still going to be great. So if you like it, go ahead and do it. So there you go. I hope this was interesting to you. That you K3. Yeah, that pun just kind of went off. It fell off a mountain like K3, which I think is Kangchengjunga. No, maybe I'm making that up. Anyways, hope this has been interesting to you. Sorry, Himalaya joke. There you go. That one's obscure for you. And I hope this is, no, that's the Karakorums. Oh, guys, I'm just completely off the rails. Anyways, have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.